Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of TAF Solutions and all of its wonderful glory. I actually don't know what we're supposed to call this podcast at this point, Sean, but we're just going to call it different names every time. Does that sound good to you?
Yes, this is January the 21st, 2026, Wednesday, and we are here to talk about technology.
And all the different tech stacks that we could possibly imagine will never prepare you for the amount of AI everybody is throwing in your face. And I think we're going to talk quickly a bit about that because everything is AI now, Sean, right? Everything.
You're right. And it's getting to the point where it goes back to that meme that I always show where it's like the trombone. It shows the guy blowing, artificial
Yeah,
intelligence and the consumer. Yes, it's that.
exactly.
It's exactly what it is.
Exactly that. Well, it felt like, as I'm sure everybody out there probably feels the same way, that, at one point we started hearing these rumblings of AI, and then it was like some kind of like far off thought. And all of a sudden it was like, it's a marketing term. It's everywhere. It's like when people were talking about organic food at the grocery store, and all of a sudden, boom, it's everywhere. Oh, organic this, organic that. Well, guess what? AI is kind of your organic piece, though maybe not as healthy for you. All I know is that,
How did we go from artificial intelligence to organic food? Anyways, yeah. So I mean, there's a lot to unpack, to be very honest with you. I mean, I know one of the concepts, we've talked about is a lot of the tools that we're using too, and we can certainly get into that. But everything is AI. But Joe, is it really everything?
I don't know. That's the real question. Like a lot of people don't realize. Yeah, a lot of changes have happened this last year. A lot of changes happened past couple of years, but what really has changed is something that a lot of people don't really fully understand, and we're still discovering as well in a lot of ways. Because I think one of the biggest problems, if correct me if I'm wrong, Sean, it seems like AI is as much as it's in your face right now, it's kind of becoming invisible as well.
No, it is. I mean, a lot of, at the end of the day, I talk about just being automation, right? Automation and really being able to use smart tools. There's a lot more to it when you start looking at the more deeper aspects of it. But for the most part, for most of us, it's just more automation, more data points, more automation. Um, where do you want to start?
Well, I mean, really, I think with that AI is becoming invisible idea is a great one, because it's like a lot of people think of AI, they think of the big one, right? They think of ChatGPT. Um, some might even think of like image based generation ones like Mid Journey, or even like it's like, hey, how's it going, Zarel? Hope you're doing pretty good. Fantastic. Welcome to the show. Well, I think what's important that we remember is that, hey, we're not always here to log into AI. We're not going to always log into AI and just start using the product. It's going to be baked into the things that maybe even asked to be baked into, right? Like, did you really need your toaster to have baked in AI? Probably not.
Well, whenever I start thinking really about, and yes, you do need a smart toaster that has that because I'm just kidding, you don't. Um, but when you start looking at the whole term and the shift for invisible AI, it's really talking about the things that are the tasks that are going on behind the scenes that don't need immediate response. And I think this is the shift where before it's like, do you want me to do this? Ask the question and then it continues. Do you want me to do that? And
Right.
ask again. Now it's like, hey, I'm you want me to do this? Cool. I'm gonna do this. And it's gonna handle all those tasks. It's not gonna even ask. And I think that's really where the invisible piece is coming in the shift of the modern aspect of where agentic artificial intelligence is going.
Well, yeah. Let's not get to an agentic just yet, but I know that that's definitely one of the things that's going to be interesting, and will probably be a good segue into talking about how it's like, think about like electricity or water, like those things that we just take for granted every day, right? There's a huge amount of effort that goes into getting those things into our hands so that we can just use it, that we don't even think about. I mean, we think about it when it goes down, right, or no longer works and it's in our face all of a sudden. But our day to day isn't bothered usually by, oh, I need, my water, except for unless our water pressure is going crazy. But that's a different story, right?
Well, you hit it right there. I mean, and those are things that we normally, for example, your water pressure or the use of additional water. And
yeah,
in the past, the only time that you're really going to find out, at least from the for consumer side, is the bill, right? Which comes in 30 days after the damage has been done.
right.
With the sensors and with what's going on with inside the house and being able to analyze that real time data, it's able to say, hey, there's a anomaly here. There's something going on. You need to quickly fix that, right? So that's where some of these tools are coming in.
Yeah, and I think that actually is one of the reasons why it's actually going to benefit non-technical people the most, because it's not something they have to think about exclusively. I mean, it's going to be handled with care, hopefully. Hopefully. Now, one could argue all this stuff about, oh, my digital water meter, electrical meter, and all that stuff is not doing. It can easily be manipulated and all that stuff. And yes, this is exactly the reason why you guys need to be aware of what's happening, so that simple things like that don't become an issue. But let's move on to the next thing that I wanted to say, and productivity versus creativity as a talking point.
Oh, geez. Yeah, here you go.
Yep. So I think that a lot of people are coming to the realization now, with all the AI slop that's out there, right? All the stuff, AI generated videos and photos. I think all of those things have a place to a certain extent, right? But it's the sheer amount of it that's kind of wild. And right now, a lot of businesses, especially, they confuse more content with better content.
Say that again.
A lot of businesses confuse more content with better content.
Well, yeah,
They think
isn't
the
it?
more content they
Yeah,
have, the better it is.
you're right.
And yeah, and I think that's where all this AI slop, if you will, is being just kind of like generated, because you don't realize how many AI based advertisements I have seen lately that are just horrible AI generated video. Like, it's just exclusively that. Like, it doesn't even actually make sense. A lot of the video that I see, because it's not contextual to the actual stuff they're trying to sell you. It's crazy. And I mean, I think at this point, what people are thinking is you're just generating content, you're just generating the stuff so that it oh, I just need to get the words in there. As long as the audio is right, the video doesn't matter. And people are running into the same thing for photos, right? It doesn't matter as long as the message somehow is there. But people are forgetting that it's actually the whole package of what someone's trying to say that matters, because now the message is going to be done. Yes, you're actually right, Sarah. Those less effort things end up losing that value sooner or later. It's 100% right.
Well, I think it goes back to the whole thing with quality over quantity, right? I think still today, I mean, with everything, people want to do the least amount of work, and so they're pushing the narrative using all these tools to be able to just say, okay, quickly create me a post to X, Y, and Z. Okay, generate the thing, right?
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I had this conversation with my wife. She's like, every time I see people that have a post that actually has all these different emojis and things like that, it's generated with ChatGPT or Perplex or whatever else. Could you at least try to like modify it? Could you at least delete the emojis and try to make it word your
Copy
own?
paste
Just
email in.
just try. Back in the old school days, if you're gonna plagiarize, can you at least try to plagiarize right?
Well, it's just like I used to tell all the students I had when I was an adjunct for video production. It was like, you know stealing is okay, borrowing is not. And the reason why I say stealing is okay is when you steal something, the whole idea of theft, right, is like, I'm gonna take this, right? I'm gonna make it mine, right? Title of ownership has changed, right? The only way title of ownership changes in the media world is if you change something about what you've stolen. That's the only way it works. So that's why I say stealing is okay. But if you borrow, you're not changing anything. So same concept with AI. You can use it all day long for inspiration. I think that's great. And I think you can even take pieces of it to help you make things. Because maybe you're a great video editor, but you're terrible at 3D motion graphics, right? Okay, so maybe that is the hole that you're trying to fill with artificial intelligence. And sure, it's probably not going to be as good as, what a human could make with the same context knowledge and all this other stuff of what it is you're trying to say. But at least it wasn't the whole thing.
Right. Right. I like that comment though. A wise man said, "Once you need the brain to even cheat correctly." That's true. It's absolutely true. Right. So don't cheat. Just do it properly, right? Or like you said, use it for inspiration. I mean, I use it all the time for inspiration. Absolutely, I think it's a great tool. It helps you formulate a lot of opinions and so forth. But it's interesting how people utilize the tool. It really is. I was teaching a course, and it was leisure learning towards artificial intelligence, and they were learning real basic how to use ChatGPT, how to do some prompts and so forth. And one of the sweet ladies looked at me. She goes, "Well, I don't even know where to start. Like, how do I?" I said, "Can you type?" She goes, "Yeah." I said, "Can you ask questions?" She goes, "Yeah." I said, "Well, why don't you go ahead and ask ChatGPT how you can use the tool?" She goes, "I can do that?" I said, "Yeah, you can definitely do this." So she literally wrote that. How can I use ChatGPT for my everyday life? It just went on this whole thing, and her eyes just blew up. It's like, oh, it's like, wow, you can do it. Yeah. There was this goes back to whenever we're children, and we're still learning, and we use our hands and our smell and our eyes to figure things out with the different senses. Right. And you start to learn, and like there's nothing blocking you because you don't have any experience. So there's nothing literally blocking you because you don't know what's hot, what's cold, what's this, what's that. It's all the experiences, right? And you see children as they get closer, they touch the TV screen, they touch this, they touch that because they're learning, right?
Yeah, but, sure.
But once you start to be conditioned, you understand this is an iPad, this is a tablet, this is a tool, and you can only do specific functions. You start to put these roadblocks up, right? And I think that's the thing is people put roadblocks up when it comes to using these tools like ChatGPT, right? It's I'm probably going to break it, right? I'm really going to break this. I don't want to type this. I don't want to do that. Or what's going to happen? Just be free, just go ahead.
Well, it's just how it is. You just that garbage in, garbage out mentality. Like if you give it like very broken English and you're not being clear with what you're trying to say, right? Then it's not going to understand. It's just like it's not like a human being, but it is trying to do its best to simulate what a conversation would be like, right? And I think that's where a lot of people get tripped up is they're treating it like a search engine almost, instead of just because they're used to that, right? They're used to like find tacos near me, like
right.
That's right. And sure, it'll do that, right? But it won't be like. But it's also going to be like, would you like me to tell you where some tacos are? Or is it in this area or is it over here? Like it's
if you remember, but those that are old enough to remember, for example, web crawler, those to remember the old Netscape Navigator browser, those days back in the early 90s, you were conditioned because we were told it's crawling the web for specific terms and keywords. So you type in, for example, popsicle, everything with popsicles and they show up. People still have the, the popsicle mentality, like popsicle and like everything popsicle shows
even up. Things you don't want to show up that are being done with popsicles might show up too. And maybe that's anyway.
You mean like using popsicle sticks to make like little homes? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, that's definitely what I was talking about. Anyways, but I was going to jump into number 3 here. Because we're going to try and rapid fire some of these.
Stick with arts and crafts, okay, Joe? Stick with arts and crafts. Thank you.
But what I want to say too is with number 3, here's what's really interesting too. Is I've already been hearing this stuff, right? Where it's the rise of AI fatigue. And it's already people's, oh God, another AI tool. Like, what's it do now? Right? Does it make is it browning my like the toaster option? Oh, great. Is it going to brown my bread better than the one that I have already?
Right, right.
We really need
Well,
that.
it's another bubble. We've talked about this before. It's kind of like the .com era. It's a bubble. It's going to keep going, going, going. But I think the challenge that we have right now is with the constant development of these different tools, and it's just pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. Um, you're right, man. It's just constant. It's like we get it,
Huh.
we get it, totally get it.
Well, and I see so many TikToks and different like Instagrams and wherever your poison is. It's these things kind of make the rounds once they're made. But you know, I've been seeing so many people make fun of it. Like I'll have this one on TikTok I saw where this guy's like, "We've taken your favorite product and we've made it better than ever before." And it's just like your typical, "Hi, my name is blah blah blah, and I definitely think you're going to be excited by the new updates we have on this product." And then, of course, he's like, "It's AI, isn't it?" It's like, "So great, new product, and it's this does all the same things you love, and even more now. It's going to cost a little more. It's AI, isn't it?" And it's just, yeah, it's exactly that. There's like this wonderful AI buzzword term, and it's everywhere. And so I think what we're finding now is like people are asking themselves, like, where does it end? When does it stop? Right?
But I do want to share this one thing that happened last night. So my dad was in my house last night with my grandmother. My grandmother's 91 years old, and I won't mention who or what or place, but he's like, this
Pretty
person,
much, Zero. Pretty much.
Okay, the same history card. Yes, no, you're absolutely right. He comments dead on. And by the way, I love that cat with the hat. I just love it.
Oh,
The frog.
the Frogger. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Frogger.
awesome.
But last night he was at my house, and I'll give you an example of an example. It became part of the conversation. So dad's on the other side of the couch, and he goes, "I wonder what that person would look like without hair, without all that stuff on his head, and a beard." And I said, "Okay." I took a picture of the person and I asked ChatGPT, just real basic, said, "What would this person look like without a hat and without facial hair?" And he looked good. Like it looked just like the person without hair. But what I'm trying to make to you is I think there's a lot of convenience. I think it's pretty cool the stuff that you can do with it. But I agree with you though. The fatigue is,
Well,
you get tired of hearing about it.
but I think at the end of the day, we're going to start seeing a lot more people. This stuff's going to slow down. Like you say, it's a bubble, right?
It is, yeah.
It's gonna start slowing down, and I think it's because right now, shiny new possibilities seem to be endless in people's minds with what it can do. But we're discovering that that's not the case. That there are limitations to it, and over time, if you're a business owner, for instance, uh, you're going to start seeing unless it fits in a specific workflow for you, or if it's like not unless it is doing what it needs to do well. Like we talked about, AI is becoming invisible, right? So if it can't just fit in invisibly and work, and people don't have to think about it, then it's going to go bye-bye. It's just not going to exist anymore because it doesn't fit. And so a lot of these companies that are offering this AI solution, they're gonna fail because at the end of the day, you have to adopt it and pay for it to be successful, right? And that's kind of what I see things happening, and it's going to fix that AI fatigue. It's just your simpler integrated techs are going to work better with people's already existing processes, and here's this overly complex thing now that you have to buy and switch everything over to.
Well, I do see that there is a giant disconnect whenever it comes to AI enhanced tools, and people are like, "Well, I don't understand." Oh, so it's AI, so it's going to cost more. But what most people don't understand though is the amount of processing power to be able to get those things done, utilizing those tools. And I think that's the only piece that I always think about is, okay, people don't understand why there's credits, why you have that. You wanted to do some complex thing, you have to pay more because it has been to use more processing power. And I think that's the only area that I think there is an ignorance in. which correlates with the reason why RAM is skyrocketing prices.
Oh
So
yeah.
with the data centers implementation of that, it's all part of that. Well, why?
I saw 128 gigs of RAM on sale for $1,000. By the way, I just want to point that out.
Well, dude, if you got RAM sitting around your house, you're rich, dude.
I mean, apparently you got gold sticks now, so that's great.
I got a lot of old computers that run EDO memory, man, back in the day. So I'm more than happy to.
Yeah. I was blown away. I remember I bought my 128 gigs of RAM. What was it, like $300? I think.
Yeah.
Something like that. It was a fraction of the computer. Now it's like the whole computer, right? Anyway.
Well, that's your flex, man. Your flex is your RAM now.
Yeah.
Right.
Start spreading them out.
That's right.
Anyway,
back in the day, it used to be the money. Oh, you remember it used to be the money gun, right? Now it's the RAM gun. You
the RAM gun. Oh, Jesus, that's more dangerous.
Start shooting RAM out.
Do I have my RAM? I have a RAM stick in here is broken still. Hang on a second. You can imagine. Can you imagine one of these just like flying at you?
Dude. Hey man,
I'm just saying. It's pretty fucking dangerous.
If you want to talk about pain, just step on some Legos. Have some kids step on Legos. You'll.
A Lego gun. That's only dangerous if you step on it, right? Anyways,
right.
No, I was gonna say, but moving on to the next thing, I think that leads into trust and accuracy. Like, talk about this.
Don't even get me started on this one. Look, let me just start with people that write emails. Please, could you remove that Microsoft or Grok or whatever you're using gave you this suggestion? Could you just delete that? Delete that. Just make it where it's you. It's coming from you. Sorry, I had to. I had to. How many emails have gone, Joe, where it says, my recommendation is this particular answer. And then underneath it says warm, soft tone.
He said he was waiting for
it. I know. Blah, 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 right? And thanks,
Rudy, by the way. We love you too.
Hey, Rudy, what's going on, man? And it's the whole, they copy the whole thing. Can you just delete that piece? Just people forget, I cannot tell you.
And that's the thing, like, direct copy paste. Yeah. So don't listen. AI confidence does not equal AI accuracy. Just because you're confident that it's doing a good job doesn't mean it's doing a good job. Right. And we know that. And look, AI will sound extremely confident and still be wrong, just like people. So, that's why I think it's so funny. It's like, yes, the best grifters out there are the ones who sound the most confident and convince you that they just know,
Well, if you start taking data, like for example, there's been times where I've taken some spreadsheets of information and I'll put it directly in ChatGPT, and it starts to calculate percentages and everything else. I cannot tell you how many times it has been wrong. The numbers don't. And then what's funny is whenever you do 3 or 4 times, and then you catch it and you say, hey, for example, I had a column that had, it was products, and it had
doing well.
Products and prices in Joe. I had copied and pasted, and I said, I don't remember the exact output, but it started throwing other products that were not part of that Excel spreadsheet. And I asked it, I said, well, where did you get this from? Oh, this is supplemental data that I thought you might need. So you got to be really careful with that stuff, man. It's really scary.
Again, that's that garbage in, garbage out mentality. You have to give it guardrails, and it's like, as I just said, yeah.
And Anna blew well.
It will. And don't even get it started. I remember there was this whole thing online where people were talking about how it wouldn't say, was it strawberry? It won't allow, it wasn't catching 3 R's in strawberry. Like it was dying on the hill saying, no, there's 2 R's in strawberry. That's it. And you're just like, no, literally look, 1, 2, 3. And it would kind of like go, oh, maybe you're right. Let me double check, and then it would look and go, no, there's 2.
Well, when it comes down to the quality of this information, fact checking it, and everything else, I think people really take time to do that, and it's showing. It really shows, and it's so unprofessional. If you were sending out emails, posts, social media, whatever else,
Oh yeah.
please can you just double check? Or my favorite ones are whenever you make a post and it generates the hashtags, and then it says, you know, generated hashtags, and you copy the post and it says generated hashtags and it has the hashtags. Could you just read what you're posting? Just read once,
Take
twice.
2 seconds.
You know,
Double check your work.
have your
Right.
loved one check it for you, right?
If you're gonna use it as the tool, don't look. No one builds the house, right, without actually hammering in the nails properly and goes,
Yeah,
"I've built the house now because the hammer says it's done." No, you actually make sure
right.
it's done first, right?
Right.
Anyway,
I mean, look at Rudy's comment. He's like, yeah, he had that happen to him similar with inventory and aircraft name. Yeah, you got to be very careful with that. It just randomly pulls stuff up. Now, it's
wow.
getting smarter day by day, but it's also, you know what though? People are not paying attention. So I don't know if you saw, but Linus Tech Tips, shout out to Linus. He was on Jimmy Fallon's show the other night,
Yeah.
showing some of the new products for CES. And he was trying to paint a picture of where we're going with AI. He's like, CES this year was AI, half robotics and half doing laundry and whatever else. And he says, yes, they're coming for our jobs, but they're not going to be able to do it right. That's the point I'm trying to make. Is artificial intelligence is here. It's not going away. People are adopting it, but it's not going to replace humans on everything. It's not. Far from it, dude. Far from it.
Okay, I can see that. Hey, look, I think that it's forcing us in tech to ask better questions. All right, as well. By the way, and I'm going to actually mention that because I think that your AI is not going to answer things well unless you're very, very clear. I think we've made that point pretty well today, right?
Well, so Jackson wrote.
Let me see what Jack's wrote.
Yeah, every company that's creating tech literally pushing only AI. No, you're absolutely right. That's a buzzword, man. That's
the sales.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
We got it. Was the AI everything is what we're looking at right now, and I think this is the biggest problem we're going to run into.
Hey, and don't get me wrong. If you were to type in Tab Solutions, it says AR marketing tools. That's sorry to say it, but that's part of the game. That's part of
what
the
we
game.
do.
But it's understanding how to use this stuff, right?
Yeah. And no, dude, I feel that 24 gig only statement. Yeah, man. Yeah. All right, Rudy, bro. We'll catch you later. Keep us in mind. We'll see you next time. By the way, guys, we do this every 2 weeks, so we're going to be back on next Wednesday as well, same time, around 11 a.m. CST. But here's what I want to point out, guys. We're not quite wrapping just yet, though. It's coming close. AI doesn't really look. Prompting is requiring structured thinking when it comes to these things, right? And I think it's really important that we remember that that is a benefit for those that are actually going to use the tools. It requires a little bit of structured thinking. But here's the problem I see, Sean, with that, is that people are so used to not doing that they're going to rely on an AI to help with the structured thinking to then write to the AI to then give an answer. Does that make sense? Literally use an AI to help translate what they're thinking to then tell an AI what it is that they're trying to say. And to me, it's kind of hilarious, but at the same time, it's also very disconcerting because that just shows more and more reliance on it, right?
Right.
Without actually critically thinking. What do you think about that?
You're right. I mean, time's gonna tell. I mean, with everything that's going on, and I can't get over what Jackson's writing about instead of 32 gigs, 16 gigs. Yes, yes. Okay, you might want to post the one Jackson just wrote. Using AI, it's a tool, not part of the whole life, and people's thinking it's whole. Yeah, that's scary. That's scary.
That's a scary thought
too. Anything with an atomic bomb in your face, yes. No, you're absolutely right.
That's right.
Absolutely right.
When we're at with it, I think is that we're not trying. I think where I disagree with some people on is that a lot of people say AI doesn't replace intelligence; it demands it, and I would agree if there weren't workarounds. I think it's something that we're going to need to be really worried about as a society to make sure that we understand. You need to have critical thinking skills. You can't rely on this thing to grift your way through life. You just can't, you know.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want RAM in my car either, man. But it is there. Hey, look, I didn't want like half the stuff they have now on these cars. Like, you know, I'm gonna sound like an old dude here, but I'm gonna be like, hey, man, I don't need 3 screens, man, in my car. I don't mind buttons actually. A few buttons makes me happy. You know, it feels like I'm doing things. I'm boop boop. This tap shit that I do sometimes, there's no feedback with that. It's just like, you know, I get the same enjoyment out of like, you know, that's the same enjoyment I get, you know, from tapping on a screen in a car. All right, like give me a button to push. You know, I'm cool.
It's definitely a challenge, and it's interesting to see what's going to happen within the next 6 months to a year with these changes.
Yeah. Well, I think where we're at this point, yeah, physical buttons are really thing. Exactly. You know, make it simple. Well, don't shake too much, man. Keep low on the caffeine. You drink some water.
Well, it kind of reminds me, you guys are talking about, you know, physical buttons. It reminds me of some of these videos where they show the Tesla where they're pushing on the dashboard and everything else to show the quality of the build. Anyways, yeah, that's a whole other discussion.
Well, I think at that point what we're doing too is, you know, everything kind of runs into this whole problem where is it relying too much on the tech? Because like, look, I got an air fryer, okay, in there in my kitchen.
Yeah.
The LED readout, half the pixels are broken on that thing. It's because the heat that comes from the air fryer has hit the PCB a little too often. That's my theory anyway. Point is, there's like no physical buttons. So if there were, there wouldn't be any problems. Okay. But because it's all an LED readout, I don't even know what temperature it's at. I have to go and go, okay, I think that the maximum is 400 degrees. And that's fortunately what most of this is required. But the point is I'm making is when it comes to the time, I have to literally go to 1 and then go, okay, count up on the dial how many times it beeps, because I can't read the damn digital readout.
Yeah, see, most people know the way our country is designed is it costs more for you to repair it than to actually replace it.
Yeah.
So that's what they want you to do. They want you to replace
exactly.
it, Joe. That's
they do. And if I buy a new one, it's like it's like $50 if I buy a new one. But if I want to replace that part, it's like $40.
So I will leave you with this. So a buddy of mine goes, "Hey man, I don't need this grill. It's an offset smoke pit. Do you want it?" I said, "What's wrong with it?" He goes, "Oh, it's a little bit of rust on it and so forth and so forth." I'm like, "Cool, I'll take it. No problem. I'll take it." Yeah. I like to. It's a project on the side. Brought it to the house and I started using. I was cleaning it up and had rust and everything else. I removed all the rust and everything else, and I said, you know what? It needs the bottom metal plate, not the rack, but there's another metal plate for you to put the charcoal on. So I went to Home Depot. I went to Lowe's actually. I went to Lowe's. No, it was Home Depot. It was Home Depot. In the rack, just the rack below, was $45 for the metal rack. I went to Walmart's website. The entire grill was on sale for $82, Joe.
Buy a new one. Yeah.
I mean, are you kidding me? That's where we are with technology, in this country, and even with manufacturing.
Wow.
It's cheaper.
Well, like I had a smoker, and it cost me $150 for the smoker itself, like a side fire, wood fire smoker. It's pretty large. This was I bought it back in like 2016, so it's a while. But the point is that I was having issues with heat, so what I was like, all right, well, I need to get a baffle put into it so that it directs the heat evenly across the bottom because heat rises.
Right.
Anyway,
right.
Logistics aside, I was like, well, how am I going to get this baffle? I got to go to a machine shop, right, and have them, weld it in. How much is that going to be? Right? Turns out it's going to be more than buying a whole another unit. So I was like, well, damn. I may as well buy the new unit that has the baffle. side of it.
Look,
Yeah.
depending on what you're looking for, and so I'm just responding to what Jackson wrote. If you were to go and if you were to just go look at replacement parts,
Yeah.
okay, and I'm just gonna give you an example. I'm gonna put this in here as an example.
Yeah.
Um, Joe, if you want to share, it's fine. But anyways, but if you
Sure.
just look at the prices for things, okay, I know we're talking about RAM and so forth, but it's totally against artificial intelligence. But if you start looking at prices for replacement parts, it's actually extremely expensive. It's cheaper for you to just buy a brand new product than
Oh yeah.
buy replacement parts. And you know, it's crazy. It really is. Absolutely is crazy. But I know we're totally off. Let's get back on topic.
No, for sure. But it's good. It's good to talk about this stuff because it
Yeah.
gives you an idea of where tech is in this general statement, right? Hey, look, we're personally, in my opinion, and I'm not trying to endorse anything. Personally, I'm watching what is useful for AI. Uh, I'm hoping that search in general changes beyond just keywords, and that's what the direction I do see it going, which is great because right now it's going to make it easier for small businesses to be found online for and just in general. And that's great because for me, the big businesses, while it's very convenient to have large business be consolidated into a whole bunch of different items for, going one place to buy stuff like say Amazon or so whatever. The problem is that you're not always, the less their competition there is, the more things will cost. Right. So
Right.
the idea is that if you support local businesses, you're going to actually get really better deals, right? And then of course it forces the larger companies, if there's enough of these smaller companies, to go down in price as well. So competition just wins every time. So I love the fact that AI is helping change the game for small to medium businesses in a really big way, allowing them to not spend as much money on advertising, you know,
Right.
that, hey, they can focus more on building their businesses and putting that money they would have put on advertising in other space. I'll put this in mind. It's super important for people to realize that some companies spend $10,000 a month almost on just advertising alone. If they can redirect that and only have to spend $2,000 a month, but get the same benefit, what's not to love, right?
Well, I do want to. I don't want to nerd out here on this, but I'm actually going to. I posted a link to you personally in Teams, Joe, which
Yeah.
is actually about the evolution of search engines, which I think is actually a great website for those that are interested in understanding where we are and where we came
Oh,
from.
sure.
You know, back in
Let
the
me share
early
that.
'90s, and this is the thing that I was talking about, is when we were talking about web crawlers back in the early '90s, it
Mhm.
was really focused on a word. And remember, the internet back then didn't have the complexity that we have today in terms of the amount of pages, the amount of data, the complexity of the servers, the architecture, X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Um, but technology's advanced, websites have advanced, operating systems advanced, servers advanced. I mean, you can go on and on and on.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for
But
people to
that was really
understand,
important right
right?
there. That stayed important for a
Yes,
long time.
yes. And 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 here's the other piece. When you start looking at what's going on, it's going to continue to evolve, but it's important for us to stay on top of it. So I would say for all you business owners that are out there that are just saying, okay, I'm going to throw up my hands and I'm not going to pay attention, or I'm just going to do whatever I can. You have to stay up to date with this stuff. You have to at least try to understand what's going on. I mean, we were with a client um, a couple days ago, Joe, and you saw like, okay, well, I'm going to trust you. I'm going to trust you. You just take care of it, make it work. And I'm glad that they have the trust in us for that. It's the same way people trust their mechanics. But at the same time, you
No, thanks,
need
Ralph.
to say again.
I was responding to Ralph. Apologies.
Oh, gotcha. But you definitely need to do some research on your own. You do need to at least have some sort of foundational knowledge to be able to make better business decisions. I'm not an accountant, Joe, right? But
Right.
it's important for me to understand what a profit and loss sheet is, what a balance sheet is to make proper sound business decisions, right?
Right.
Right. So, and that's very important, I think, for all business owners is even with this stuff. I understand you want to throw your hands up and you don't want to deal with it, but at some point you're going to have to understand something.
Yeah, I think that's where we're at as well with the knowledge. What I like about this right here is it breaks down the different times. Here's what's interesting about this to me. When we see this timeline, page rank, for instance, or the launch of Google itself, people think that ranking on like pages and stuff like that went away, and it didn't. It stayed, right?
Right.
Just like with AdWords, real time search, personal, everything that you see here hasn't gone away. It just gets added to the pile. Okay. And then you have things like all of this. It all just gets added to the pile. And that's the problem I think a lot of people don't realize. Some of these things do get replaced. Don't get me wrong, of course. But a lot of this stuff just gets added. And now you have people who have no idea. Like, okay, look, if I'm opening up a bakery, right? My focus is probably to bake the best damn bread you've ever had, right? That's my probably my focus. Like, I want you to enjoy the bread, and cool, that's great, and I want somebody to be able to do that and give it to as many people as possible. But here's the problem: if you don't know all this stuff over here, right, then you're probably not going to be able to be found to be able to share the best damn bread you've ever had. So that's the problem that I have is that, you need people hopefully like us who are going to come in there and be able to help you with that. But the problem is there's not a whole lot of us out there, Sean. They're able to break it down for people and be able to move in that direction. And now with the advent of AI coming in and kind of shaking up that whole pot too, those things are still important, right?
Right.
But if you don't know that all these things came before, you don't know that you have to accommodate for those things in your website, your social media, your blog posts, all this stuff on top of the new stuff that AI brings.
Right.
So that's a lot of stuff to have to. It's like coming in and having to learn a game that's been going on for 20 years. Like there's a lot of rules.
There's a lot, and I know it can definitely be overwhelming. I'm going to use an example right now that's happening as we speak. Client says, "Hey, site's down." Site's not down. The exact answer was Safari's not showing it. Your Safari is not showing it.
Yeah.
The world can see it. But I will say this. It's good that the client is being proactive and they're concerned about the particular tool, the particular thing. And this goes back to what we're saying. You don't have to be a subject matter expert in search engine optimization, but it's good to understand at least the basic fundamentals, or at least be curious to understand how the stuff works. That's really where I'm trying to get at, right?
Yeah.
But to throw your hands up and say, I don't want anything to do with it, and there are a lot of people like that. That's cool. And sure, we'll take your money. But for the rest,
well, we'll definitely help out when we can. And I think that's really what people are running into is these issues of understanding like the complexities. They continue to grow, right? And we're not asking everybody to just know all this stuff, right? It's
right.
like I said, if I'm a baker, I'm more worried about making sure that I get the best stuff in front of people in the best way. But the best bread. But I definitely need to take into account. It's like I'm not making electricity for my business, right?
Right.
But I do need to pay the person that brings the electricity to my door. And so that's the way I want people to think about this is instead of thinking that, oh, this is just an add-on, this is a lot of business owners and people like to think that this is just an additional thing that needs to happen.
Right.
Like advertising and marketing, like it's optional is the point. But I actually want people to think more along the lines of optimizing your presence online and being found online as a water bill, because you basically like when you have a house, you're paying for that, to sustain that house. That's what you have to think of this as. Unfortunately, guys, you can't necessarily live on the internet rent free if you want to make an impact on the internet. That's just how it is. Right. But the good news is that it's easier than ever and cheaper than ever to make an impact on the internet because of how things are going now. So that being said, guys, I appreciate you all for being here. Zoral, Jackson, and of course we had some other folks jump in and out, throughout this whole thing, such as Rudy. Guys, I really appreciate you guys joining us. Come with us again next week on Wednesday. We'll be at the same time, 11 a.m. CST. Always here to help. And we always talk about different things really that have to do with tech. Sometimes it just has to do with it is AI. And very often, guys, we talk about small to medium business problems and concerns because we're here to try and help you compete with the big boys as much as we possibly can, because that's where we came from. We know all the playbooks.
And don't forget charcoal starter, and grills.
Love it, guys. Absolutely. Appreciate all y'all. Thank you, guys. All right. Until then, next time, guys, we'll catch you later. Bye-bye.